Right, we are now actually live. The stream does exist. Hello, everybody. But apologies for the very... I'd already said on the first attempt, belated start Division 2. Even more belated start Division 2. I was streaming on the right YouTube channel. For some reason, and it was on public as well, but for some reason, it wasn't showing through. Nevertheless, we are here now. I'm QVR Killer, here with... I'll repeat the line, the ever-radiant, exuberant, youthful delight that is Ariel Jacob. And we're halfway through qualifying, and QVR Koskappen on his outlap for his second run. He's on provisional pole right now from ERT Larkin, and our championship leader Ariel Felipe is in third. Reservoir is back this week, he's in fourth, and Tope, Darry, Miami, and Luke round out the top eight. Luke, of course, our winner last week. And what have you made, Jack, after the blighted by problems, technicalities and whatnot? It took me a while to get into the lobby myself, but the first 9 minutes of qualifying.
Yeah, it's been sort of, well, it's very spaced out, I've got to say, like a lot more spaced out in comparison to what we've seen as of recent. But I mean, I suppose it's only the first part of qualifying. Portugal is still reasonably new to the game. I think it is still the newest track in the game with China. So yeah, I don't think a lot of people have sort of driven this. We obviously didn't drive it last season in League of Europe. I think only because it only just came into the calendar just as we were finishing our first season in F1 2020. So yeah, I think it's the case. It's the first time that everyone's driving it in Division 2 for a league race in the League of Europe. Obviously, whether they do it anywhere else, it's up to them. But yeah, it's definitely looking a lot more spaced out than I thought. Other than maybe from 4th all the way down to 10th, they're very sort of tight and compact. But yeah, it's still quite sort of packed out just with each of everybody else. Obviously CRD Sen also being a little bit of an outlier with that. The whole field split just by under 7/10 of a second, and I'm riding on board with Miami as his teammate has just gone on pole with a 17.2, but I think Miami might be able to just join him up there, and he does. A 17.3. The McLarens proving a bit stronger than what their the IRL team is doing at the moment there, Jake.
Yeah, absolutely. And after last week, the one thing Larkin really needs is he needs his rear gunner up there with him, helping him out, because it didn't go too well for him last time around. Felipe, by the way, invalidated his second attempt. Matty is just gone P5. Reservoir goes on provisional pole. Koskappen's abandoned his lap. He made a mistake somewhere. The Scream, I believe, has just finished. Darry's invalid. Luke's coming round, last week's race winner, coming round the final corner now, turn 15 and then turn 16, I believe. T-Brum has gone P2. We've seen him excel at pad track so far. He retired early on from Canada when he could have had a very good race there. Wheel tracks. This is a pad one, and he's excelling so far at P2 on the grid for him. Luke joined his teammate in 6th and 7th with a 17.4. Swee Ross has just improved to a 17.5, and I think that may well be it for our second round. We've got Chris actually just about to come across the line. He had a very good week last week, but in the end he has just gone P3. I was about to say, I didn't think he was on a lap because I saw his red light flashing, but I think he must have burned up all of his ERS a little bit too soon. But P3 for Chris. He's getting a good run together now, isn't he, in Division 2?
Yeah, he's starting to come into his own a bit more now, as you say, which is good to see. Obviously, Division 3 champion from last season, so it is good to see him starting to, as they come into his own in Division 2. Better late than never, I suppose, but at the same time, we're already well over halfway into the season now. Of course, this being round number 10 of 17 for this season, and if you want, I'll quickly just run you through the standings just so you guys can see who is where for the time being. So at the moment, as you say, it is Mr. Ariel Felipe on top with 138 points, obviously picking up a P3 last week. Same with Koskappen, picking up P2 last week. He is jumped up ahead of Larkin for second place in the standings on 109 points, and as I say, Larkin, after having a bit of a shoddy week, I'm sure he doesn't mind me saying, ended up only picking up 3 points last week in 10th, and is sitting third in the standings with 100 points. Luke is in 4th, the other AlphaTauri with 93 points after picking up his win, his first win of the season, shall I say. Lifebout is in 5th and isn't here tonight as well, interestingly enough. He is on 85 points. Evans Joshua in 6th with 80, Tope 7th with 70, RJ in 8th with 65, Scream in 9th with 49, and T-Brum in 10th with 48 points to his name as well, all being for the top 10. Yeah, I think there's a few outliers at the moment, Jake, as to opposed to like where they are within this top 10. But I suppose at the same time, I say outliers, probably the only one I would say is Matty, but at the same time, he is usually pretty consistent when it comes to these kind of situations.
He is. He's one of those that he's quietly smooth, just gets on with the job. Apologies, my window is open. I will to close it. So we've got a motorbike powering down my road. We've not had the opportunity to go on board for a lap yet, so let's go on board with Ariel Felipe, starting his final run of the session now. Avoiding some traffic, chucks it into turn 1, extends turn 1 as IRT Toba's made a meal of turn 1 there. You can see him go to the outside. Turn 4, really tricky to keep the car planted under you. A little bit hesitant, I think, and Ariel Felipe's backed off. He's going to come into the pits, probably turn the car around for another set of tyres and go again, because that turn 1 was not ideal. And the same could be said for IRT Toba. So both of our early lappers here at the end of the session, Jack, have made a mess of it.
Yeah, no, they certainly have. And I mean, Nolan, I think, as I say, I was talking about outliers, he's also one down in 7th position. Same as 2nd position in the championship is sitting in 6th. And then Larkin, who's 3rd in the championship, is sitting in 4th at the moment. So it's at the moment, it's given, Reservoir, T-Brom, Chris a decent chance to try and, get a few more points under their belt. I mean, Chris is sitting 12th in the standings with 35 points. T-Brom is sitting in 10th, as I said, with 48 points. And Reservoir is sitting in 11th. So they're all 10th, 11th and 12th. I didn't even realise that. Reservoir on 46 and Chris on 35. Reservoir hasn't been here for the past 2 races and is now currently on pole position for this race. At the moment, of course, we've still got 3 minutes left to go here, Jake. So it might be a chance for them, for those guys, to try and boost their way up into the standings, especially considering that, RJ's down in 14th, Scream is there in P11, who are just out in front of them, and same with Tope, who's down in P12. As I say, there's a chance for all of those guys to try and, jump up in the standings as much as they possibly can. So we'll see how it goes tonight. Same with Miami. He's in P5 at the moment, as you say, playing rear gunner to his teammate at the moment. I've seen that these two have actually had a few battles as well in the past in the League of Europe. So might be the same situation again tonight, but I'm sure Larkin will be telling him that he needs to help him out as much as possible to catch up with Felipe. So I don't think Miami's going to try and fight him too hard tonight.
Yeah, Larkin can't afford to drop any clangers. He needs everything from Miami in terms of full support to get the best result he can. He was on course for a very good result last week at Imola, was Larkin, and then had a couple of comings together. First with the Sweeros, and then again with what's his face, IRT Rex, at the exit of the Toza hairpin. I'm just trying to pick up the Red Bull that's just started their lap. That is RJW Videos. Marcio's got invalid, so it's going to be... actually, no, it's not. It's Felipe. He stayed out. He's gone for oh, no, he's coming into the pits now. Felipe's not going to improve. He's not going to have time to go again. He didn't improve, so... I thought he was just going to come straight back into the pits. I wasn't even watching. But he tried to go again on the next lap. Choked it again, and is going to be starting 7th at best. So let's go on board with RJW. He's going to be the first man to finish the session, because Marcio made a mistake at turn 1. That's the hash you can see just in front of you there as we ascend the hill up towards turn 11, turn 10 and 11. The track cascades down away from you very quickly. You want to pick up the throttle early as you can. That's why you'll see them taking such a high line in. Run to the outside of turn 12, open up the corner, 13, open up the corner nicely. And then really, you need a good front end here, or you can lose so much time. The corner just gets away from RJW Videos a little bit, but he'll pick up the throttle earlier as a result. And that's where I was suffering in D1 there in terms of performance, because I had barely any front end on my car in terms of the downforce. I was really suffering on those last 2 corners where you need a good front end. RJW Videos does improve. He goes only P10. Who have we got coming across the line? We've got a Ferrari. That is a Reservoir. Is going to be next up provisional pole sitter by over a 10th and a half. And what's he managing? No, he's just starting. Thanks, Codemasters. I have no idea. McLaren's are just starting as well. We have got Koskap, and he is on a lap though, and coming through turn 14 now, and then 10, 15. This last corner, I think, is deceptively tricky. If you're just slightly offline, you can lose a lot of time through this very vaguely banked flat out right-hander. To the line goes Koskapen, goes P2, misses out on pole by 9 1,000ths of a second. And T-Brum behind them is up by 6 thousandths through the first sector.
Yeah, very tight with them as well. Chris is just starting his lap as well. He's just coming up the hill towards the end of the first sector. DRS enabled for the Alpine. Quickly to see what he's going to do at the end of the first sector.
Ooh,
and he's 8
T-Brum.
hundredths up on his time. Matty going up into P3 with a 17.177, and T-Brum might be the first one to break into the 16s here, Jacob. Nearly 3 tenths up on his time.
Yes, he is. And Luke, last week's race winner, goes P3. He dethrones Matty provisionally on the second row. But look at this man, Ariel T-Brum, coming to the line now, well on course for a 16. And he just misses out. 17.002. Resify is invalid. Koskapen's invalid. They're not going to be improving. Koskapen was on his in-lap anyway. Apologies. Chris, up by 0.2 of a second. When I get excited, I can't speak. And then he makes a mess of turn 13 there. I think that could lose him all the time. And then some. Miami goes P5. Let's have a look at Larkin as well. Larkin and Chris are the ones to keep your eye on. I think Chris will struggle to improve, and he's not going to improve at all, as Larkin has dropped on the exit of turn 14. He's not going to be improving either. A critical error for him. Sweet Ross is invalid. Rex is invalid. Tope's invalid. Darry's coming to the line now. Can he make an improvement? Formerly of D1. Ascends to P9 in the order. And I think that may be it. Rex has said invalid. Lix is on a slow lap. So that is it. It's T-Brum and Resify on the front row. And then Koskapen and Luke on row 2. Miami and Matty on P3. Then Chris, then Larkin and Darry and Championship leader Felipe in the midfield, starting in P10. 9 drivers ahead of him. 9 drivers behind him. Just ahead of RJ, Sweetross, Scream, Rex, Tope, Lix, Marcio, and then Sen and Evans Joshua close out the field. And that is a tasty front row, Jack, I have to say, because T-Brum and Resify haven't been the most adept at finishing races with all 4 wheels this season. So I'm excited to see how that one goes.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Well, I say that Resify has only DNF'd once this season, but T-Brum has DNF'd 3 times this season. So, yeah, you are not wrong in terms of, they're not exactly in depth of, as you say, finishing with all 4 wheels on the car for this season. But, I mean, who knows? Might be able to keep it on this time. I mean, T-Brum did it at Monaco. And Resify, I mean, he's picked up 2 podiums so far this season, one in Japan and the other in China, if I'm not mistaken. I know it was sprint and feature there, but I'm pretty sure he also did pick up a podium, if I'm not mistaken, from that. But yeah, I think it's going to be, I don't know, I really don't know how it's going to play out. Obviously Koskapen and Luke just behind them, and then Miami and Matty. I mean, well I mean, you should say Matty's a little bit of a dark horse in terms of just sort of keeping quiet, keeping out of the way. And just driving his own race. Miami, I think it has to be said, and I'm sure he doesn't mind me saying, has been the complete opposite this season. It's been a bit interesting from what he's done so far this season, but in P5 he might be able to pick up a nice little podium. We'll see. But as you say, Matty in 6th, Chris is in 7th, Larkin in 8th, Darry in 9th, Nolan in 10th, RJ's in 11th, with Sweet Ross in 12th, Scream in 13th, Rex in 14th, Tope in 15th, Lix in 16th, Marcio in 17th, Sin in 18th, and then Evans Joshua didn't make a time on the board, and is starting in P19. I don't know if he had a quali ban or anything like that, not to my knowledge, but starting down in P19, especially around Portimao, is not favourable, and I can tell you that from experience.
Not at all. I feel like Evans has kind of just lost the will to live a little bit in D2 this season. I'm sorry to say, he's not had, started out very well, but he's not had the best time of it recently. Most of it not completely his fault either. So I'm very excited for this race. I think last week was properly good fun that we had at him, and absolutely cracking stuff. Hopefully more of the same. And hopefully we don't follow the example that D1 set. D1 was a bit of a dead rubber. I think I do my condolences to James Head and Old School in the commentary box having to put up with that. So we've got some nice mechanics there, T-posing in their pit boxes. I'm expecting everyone to go for hards to mediums. My missus has just asked how I got on in D1. We'll ignore that message. Because she said don't crash, and lo and behold, I crashed. But anyway, Jack, what are you expecting from this race?
Carnage. I think that's pretty much the way it is, but carnage and trains, that's all I'll probably say. Let's just say, I can't lie, Portimao's probably one of the more boring tracks to watch. Hopefully these guys don't make it boring, but I suppose it's anyone's guess, and we'll see. Obviously, Luca and Nolan are going to just try and race on ahead as normal. But let's have a look at what tyres everybody else is on. Everyone on the set of the hards, other than Tope, Licks and Evans. Evans starting on a set of the softs. I don't know why. And then Tope and Licks on a set of mediums. Licks obviously doing, I probably said that's more his favourite strategy all the time, probably starts on the softer tyre in comparison to everybody else. Tope though, starting on a set of mediums could be a bit interesting, as I think that's Sweet Ross that's just had a spin out of turn number 3. But yeah, Evans on a set of the softs. I mean, he's going to get a good start, but those tyres are going to die instantly. And as you say, Portugal is not a track where overtaking is easy by any means.
I'm just distracted here because we've got cars galore in the gravel. Both Williams have gone off. Larkin also went for a couple of donuts down at turn 5. I'm not sure if that was a deliberate tactic or not. But Evans is in for a challenging laps 3 to 6 onwards, I'm going to say. The hards don't hold up for an entire race. Now Miami has gone walkies, this time at turn 12. Yeah, those soft tyres do not hold up, and really none of the tyres hold up here. We were talking during the D1 race, weren't we, that the hard tyres weren't feeling particularly great at half distance. So you're not going to be able to pit on lap 7 or 8 from the softs and take hards to the end. He can only hope to two-stop. Can, what's his face? What is his face? Evans to the end now. As is the game, for once, going to give me a nice camera angle for turn 1. I'm not going to change from here because I've got a nice view of T-Rum and Reservoir. I'm scared if I move and get back, I'll get an awful shoddy view from behind them. So, Marcio's 12. I've got a Williams taking a very wide approach into their grid box in the back. That's Tope on the medium tyres, but it's T-Brum on pole position on the right of your screen. Winner at Monaco, of course. Resify alongside him. Koskapanen, last week's race winner, Luke behind them, and then championship leader Felipe in P10. It's shaped up to be a cracking race. Let's see how many of them get through turns 1, 2 and 3 unscathed. We're underway for the Portuguese Grand Prix, and it looked like T-Brum didn't get the cleanest start, but he's away well enough. We've got Koskapen and Miami shaping for a move into turn 1. Luke's on the inside. Is anyone going to get pinched as Koskapen goes off the track? Barges wheels with Resify as they come towards turns 2 and 3. Koskapen round the outside, and Luke gets tagged round by the Ferrari of Matty. And Larkin, or Miami, sorry, has got wing damage as well. Luke plummets to the bottom of the field. Miami with his wing damage. There's all sorts of carbon fibre shards over there. He tagged the back of the Ferrari, and let's have a look. We've got all contact there between Felipe and Dari at turn 5. Chris goes off the track as well around the outside. It's a free-for-all in the midfield. We've got Rex up alongside Scream and Sweet Ross as they come towards turn 7 and 8. The Alpina Sweet Ross is off the track there. Oh, sorry, it was Chris off the track. He's got some damage. We've seen so much carbon fibre flying. And still side by side as they come down the hill up towards turns 10 and 11, and Sen just ahead of the Scream there. The Scream tries to duck back underneath him, and that is a tidy move from the Williams driver. He's going to have the outside, and Sen holds on through turn 12, and they're still battling away all the way through the field, and then gets hit by the Williams with the Scream. RJ is just trying to keep a watching brief in this. He's got to be careful. He's got Tope on the medium tyres behind him. But at the end of lap 1, the top 4 have fully stretched their legs here. Larkin, meanwhile, is in for a world of pain down the pit straight as he gets hit there by Dari, and Larkin's trying to come into the pit lane. He's another one who's lost some front wing. He's going to be the first of them, actually, to plough into the pit lane. And Dari will resume P5 further back. Let's have a look if we've got any battles for turn 1. And Sweet Ross round the outside switches to the inside under Felipe. Felipe's going to open the door. Felipe's missing his front right end plate. He's going to be in a world of pain as well here as they come through turns 3 and 4. And I'm going to stop talking, Jack, so you can say something.
Yeah, so I was just going to say, all of that, what happened on lap 1, I think it was actually Miami going around the outside of Matty after Matty tagged the back of Luke. Miami tried getting a good run, I think ended up spinning. His teammate then hit the side of him, which then gave him wing damage, and then it kind of gave a Constantino effect with Nolan, with Chris, with Evans. A lot of people got wing damage in that process there, Jake, and that's why the top 4 have just completely broken free from Barry, who's now in 5th. He was stuck behind Larkin for that entire lap, as Rex and Sen are both trying to just have a nice little battle at the exit of sector number 2 as well.
Oh, huge contact!
Sen attacks the back of him. tags the back of the Alfa Romeo, manages to keep it in a straight line for the time being, as Nolan also just starting to lose a lot of time to Dari out in front. Dari's starting to actually catch those top four, interestingly enough, so maybe he's not out of it. Of course, DRS is now going to be enabled on this lap, as T-Brom still does keep the lead of the race. Matty is up into third now, and Reserfight in fourth, and that just proves it. Dari setting the fastest lap of the race so far. He's the quickest driver out on track at the moment. Sweet Ross and Rex all over the back of the AlphaTauri of Felipe, and of course with Felipe's damage, I think he's in for a world of trouble now that DRS is enabled. Sweet Ross going for it down towards turn number 3, a little bit audacious from the Alpine, a little bit of a tag as well from him, and with Nolan's damage, of course he's not going to be able to turn in as much as he possibly wants, but manages to hold on to that position ahead of the Alpine for the time being. Sweet Ross, I think he's putting that pressure on Nolan quite hard.
Yeah, Sen got very out of shape, but he picked up some damage on that last lap when he hit the back of whoever it was. Honestly, I can't remember. It was less than a lap ago, but I did see a little bit of carbon fibre come off the front of that Mercedes. Not an end plate, it's not that bad, but he has lost a little bit, so I think that's why he looked very out of sorts coming through turn 5. Felipe, I understand the strategy here and going long, but he's got to think, is he gonna... He's going to bring those early stoppers, Miami, Chris and Larkin, back into play in this race with his current pace. Let's look at the fastest lap so far. He did a 22.7 last lap, only a second off actually, so it could be worse for him. He's only losing a second a lap, but he will lose a pit stop almost by the time they do come in, and he is staying out. I thought he was going to pull to the inside then and go into the pits, but he's staying out. And Sweeros is going to have a second lunge in towards turn 3 here. Actually, we will have interval gaps on. And you can see how as Sweeros goes off the track at the exit of 1. And I think there'll be a bit of frustration starting to boil over in this secondary group the longer they end up sitting behind Felipe. Is there going to be a lunge into turn 5? No, he's not. And I wonder if Felipe's also running quite skinny wings here. Oh, there's got some contact there, possibly between Luke and is that IRT Taupe on the medium tyres through turn 5. Luke just about comes out ahead in that, but they are so compressed purely because of Felipe's damage at the front of this group. Chris sets off lap at 20.8. Felipe is 2 seconds a lap slower than that pace. I think he needs to be wary of those people who've already pitted. He is planning, presumably, he's written off the top 5 and he's thinking 6th is the best I can get. And his hope right now is to keep everyone behind him for as long as he possibly can. Presumably he knows he's got some low wings there. He thinks he can keep him behind in a straight line, not make any mistakes, and play for P6.
Well, there's still a chance. I mean, he can try and take these hards to maybe lap 15. I feel like we might see him do. If he takes him to lap 15, then there's a chance that he can actually take a set of mediums to go to the end. Obviously, change his front wing at that point as well. And he's doing a good job of keeping Sweet Ross behind him. Sweet Ross just can't seem to find a move past him at the moment. Despite, having that wing damage for Felipe, he's not going to be able to go for any sort of moves as of yet. He needs to try and line it up though, I'd say, going into this corner here, because this is where then you're going to just be stuck behind the AlphaTauri for the remainder of the lap. If you can get the move done here, then I feel like Sweet Ross has a very good opportunity of being able to get away from the rest of the grid. Not going to be able to though at the moment, as Luke trying to look maybe down the inside of Sen, going through turn number 5 and not going to be able to go for any sort of move at the moment. No, defending for his life on Sweet Ross, and Sweet Ross trying to find any which way possible to get past, but Nolan is just doing well, keeping it in, defensive on the inside. And again, this whole train all the way down to 14th now, maybe even 15th for Screamers now catching up to the back of these lot. So there's now 6 down to 15th all in this DRS train here, Jay. I can see what Nolan's doing. At the same time though, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to play out well. I think if there's a safety car involved, then it will work out for him. If there isn't one though, I feel like he's going to be in trouble from those guys out a bit early.
I mean, the 5 seconds he would lose for changing his front wing would cost him 9 places right now, assuming he changes when he pits. So even if he does make a one-stop work and stays out long enough, he's going to lose 9 places as a result, make that 8 because he's just lost the first of them. Sweet Ross up the inside into turn 1. The Alpine is released, and Felipe relegated down to P7, getting very close to the back to the diffuser, of that Alpine. Look at them behind. It's like Formula Ford racing as they come through turns 3 and 4. And Taupe's gone. Taupe's dropped it on the exit of turn 4. RJ got caught by that and lost a place as a result, while Sen, meanwhile, having a look up the inside of Rex for P8. and he's got that move done. That's a nice bit of opportunism from Sen through into P8, and takes that place, and he's now going to be the next one to set up that AlphaTauri of Felipe. You can see how poor an exit Felipe's getting as they come down the hill. I think Sen might even be fancying a send here into turn 11. He's going to force Felipe to take a tight line. He'll try to cut back underneath him, and then hits the back of the just behind them, Rex and Luke having a bit of argy-bargy. Luke nearly dropping it on traction. I thought Sen tried to cut back underneath Felipe, almost hit the back of him instead. We've got a yellow flag. That is for Chris at the back. He's had a spin. And RJ, look at him behind Marcio as well. I think for just a few seconds there, it's just calmed down as Felipe's out of DRS range of Sweet Ross. He's going to lose another place now to CRD Sen, and there's nothing he can do about that. And then might Rex be fancying a move as well, but he's not quite close enough. But the fact that Felipe is sitting here with over 50% ERS, I think tells you how low his wings are, and Rex is trying to force something here. He's Felipe's going to be so defensive as the Rex in the Alfa Romeo turns into the side pod of the AlphaTauri. He's covering the side line, he's got those wings to help him. Rex is going to cut the outside line, force Felipe to take the tight line, try cut back underneath him. He's got to be careful though, because look at Luke up the inside now. Luke's going to out-drag the Alfa Romeo up the inside and passes his teammate. That was perfectly choreographed from the two AlphaTauris. Luke's through into 8th and Rex still down in 10th.
That almost looked like it was a brake check, but I know it wasn't. That's the thing. I think it was just it was bad traction from Nolan, but at the same time, Luke then was just allowed to just go straight on through Miami, having a spin out of turn number 1, unfortunately for him. But yeah, what a move that was from Luke, managing to get both of those positions and ahead of his teammate. Yeah, I think that's something I've also just noticed. I think CRD Sen is using... Oh, what's happened with the screen? Is he just had a bit of a half spin?
Yeah, just a half spin there out of turn 13. As you were.
Yeah, so what I was just saying was, I think CRD Sen using an assisted medium traction control. He's managing to sit in full throttle in 2nd gear out of turn number 5. So for sitting down in P7 at the moment, that's not a bad result for the Mercedes driver. And in fact, actually catching up to the back of Sweet Ross. Might even see a move go down for the Merc very, very soon. We'll see though as they make their way up through turn number 4 and that's
5. Contact between Rex and Felipe. Oh, Felipe was so lucky they not get turned all the way around. Instead, Rex turned himself around. Probably poetic justice there. Sorry to cut across you, Jack, but that was a lack of patience from Rex, and he paid the price for his crimes.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure obviously what had gone on with that one, but yeah, Rex has now got no front wing and he's going to be limping back to the pits himself. Probably chuck on a fresh set of mediums and then go for another set of mediums towards the end. So I think he's really hoping that safety car comes out now as well. Nolan's now down to 11th behind RJ. I think RJ and Marcio managed to make their way through as well. A little bit of a quiet race, but also a bit of a decent race from Marcio. I think this might be the first time we may see him in a set of points position for this evening. He's sitting down in 9th at the moment, getting under pressure from RJ. He hasn't got DRS from Luke in front of him, but I don't think he's really going to be playing too much. As I said, I think we might be seeing him picking up a set of points for this evening if he can keep it nice and calm out on track. RJ using that ERS to go for that move and gets the move done on Marcio for P9, and CRD Sen getting the move done on Sweet Ross down towards turn 1. Sweet Ross though maybe looking to see if he can go for a move back through turn number 3 and even turn 4, but no, the Mercedes is going to be able to hold on to that position for the time being. He has got DRS though, has the Alpine, but I don't think he's going to be close enough to the Merc, so I think CRD Sen is going to manage to hold on to that position up to 6th position. Very nicely done from Sen.
Very nice, and well covered off as well to deal with Sweet Ross's attempts to unsettle him and get that position back. Just on the gap to leader. Dari is in a race with only 7 seconds off the lead now. We've not even checked in with that battle up front, but nothing happening up there. Larkin is 17 seconds now behind Felipe. I'm going to try and manufacture some drama between those two. 17 seconds Larkin's gap to Felipe. So if Felipe pits now, he would comfortably come out behind Larkin. And that doesn't even count for the fact that he's got a front wing to change. And Larkin's just in set fast after the race. That's what made me think about it. Larkin is going to be catching anyone with damage in that midfield at a rate of knots. We should have a look at Licks and Scream. I think this group's settled down a little bit now, so actually, let's, for the first time in this race, let's check in with our leader, Ariel T-Brum. We're on lap 10, it's taken that long, but here we are. Finally, have a look at the lead of the race. It's T-Brum from Koskapen, from the two Ferraris of Matti and Reservoir, a little further adrift. Koskapen's a little bit closer than he has been, but I think we both saw in Division 1 that it's so hard to get the run. Oh, and Marcio, you put the commentator's curse on him. He spun coming out of turn 5, and he drops down to 14th place between Taupe and Larkin. But we saw in D1 just how hard it is to get a good run through the last couple of corners to make a move to turn 1. And the trouble is, turn 1 is such a short braking zone, you can't exactly out-brake someone there. You're only going down a couple of gears, so you've got to be ahead, really, before braking and turning to make any kind of move. And Koskapen is within 6/10, but that's not close enough to make a move at the end of the straight unless you dump everything in terms of ERS at him.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very difficult for him to make any sort of move. He has got the other still to the back of Team Bromwell. Matty has dropped off on those top two, and Reservoir, his teammate, all over the back of Matty as well. Yeah, it's going to be difficult for him to make a move. I think the only way I can see any move going down with him is just by trying to do an undercut on T-Brum.
RJ?
Whether it would be successful or not, we'll have to see, as RJ closing up to the back of the Luke. It's the back of the AlphaTauri though. I don't think he got any damage from that. I think just had a little slide of his own after hitting the back of him. But yeah, RJ very lucky to, I think, get away with any sort of wing damage from that. And I think he's going to try and think a bit better next time of trying to close up to the back of the AlphaTauri doing that. But yeah, I think RJ is going to be able to up another move maybe in the next lap, as Luke's still 2.5 seconds behind Sen and Sweet Ross. So yeah, I think Luke's still going to be put under pressure. Not as much under pressure though as Reservoir is putting on his teammate out in front as Marcio into the pit stop to get a new front wing. Where's he actually going to come out in relation to Miami? I think this is going to be a bit of an interesting one. He comes out in front. Now that's a key thing to note, because obviously Marcio did have that spin, but he was involved in that pack that had Felipe and everybody else with him. So what's that, 36 seconds, maybe about 38 seconds is what Miami is behind Nolan. A pit stop here is what, roughly about 24 seconds. Include the front wing change of an extra 5 seconds, about 29 seconds. Miami, all he's got to do is just push it a little bit further on. We might end up seeing Nolan very close to the back of Miami very soon, if obviously Nolan isn't going to try to choose to come in at the moment as RJ gets the move done on Luke. As I say that though, Luke holds the inside in towards turn 1 and manages to maintain that position. Very good defensive driving from Luke there, very good driving between the pair of them as well. Luke manages to keep that position in P8 as that is a scream going across the grass through turn 3 and has to let his teammate on by. So now down into 13th goes the other German. Yeah, I can't remember what I was saying before. Oh yeah, Nolan with Miami. I don't think Nolan's actually going to pit now. Now that I look at it, I don't think Nolan's going to pit for for a 2-stopper, shall I say. I think he's going to wait until the earliest possible point they can pit for a set of mediums, go for that, change his wing, go to the end of the race, which isn't a bad strategy. He just needs to kind of do that soon, to the point where as long as his tyres isn't going to die out, so then he can at least make that strategy work. Top 10 is still possible. Maybe even the top 8 could still be possible if his teammate decides to help him out a bit.
I'm in disagreement there. I think Felipe will be lucky right now if he gets points, because he's good with his wing change. He's going to lose out to Licks, Taupe and Scream, which puts him down in 13th place. And he's got to be careful right now, because he's only now 12.4 seconds ahead of Larkin, as RJ does finally get past Luke. So I mean, there's no one else there to threat to him. Chris has had to make another stop. Miami is so far back. But yes, Felipe, I think, is in more of a fight with Larkin right now than he is with anyone else. Larkin's only said less than 12 seconds behind him. The longer, if Felipe's going to have to go for another 6 laps, that's, let's say Larkin takes a second a lap out of him, that brings the gap down to 6 seconds. And Felipe's going to lose a further 5 for his wing change. That puts them right in the same ballpark as each other for the second stint in this race, or in Larkin's case the third stint, because presumably he'll make another pit stop. So I think those two are in a proper race with each other right now, depending on how much quicker Larkin is in these next 6-7 laps. And that's not me trying to manufacture something, just looking at the times. That's how it looks to me right now. The gap's now down to, what's that, 11.5 between them. And Felipe really has got to be looking for another 4 or 5 laps at the very least before he comes in.
Yeah, no, that is very true. We say 4 or 5 laps. I think he could probably come in the space of maybe 3 more laps, 2 or 3 more laps. I think lap 16 at the very minimum you compare, and the mediums should be able to go to the end of the race, but only just. As I think that screen once again out of the final. What I would say is technically the final corner, because you have to break for the actual final corner, but for the penultimate corner, we should say. The screen has had a half spin out of there. Chris picks up the first 3-second time, but impressive that it's only the first one that we've seen so far this evening. Tope is into the pits for his one and only stop for this evening, going on a set of the hard tyres. Again, he's not one we need to sort of necessarily count out either. I know he's gone for the reverse strategy compared to everybody else, but at the same time, he'll be on a warmer set of hards compared to the guys all around him. He'll be able to at least jump up maybe ahead of Nolan. I don't know. We'll see when it comes to the rest of the pit stops coming down to it. But yeah, Larkin is starting to catch up to Nolan at a rate of knots now. I think the gap is now only about 10 seconds from what I'm looking at between Nolan and between Larkin. So Nolan's got to think about pitting soon, but at the same time he needs to try and do it so he gets his mediums to the end.
Yeah, because whatever his gap is to Larkin, you've got to lop 5 seconds off it for when his wing gets changed. So if Larkin's running a balanced tyre section, you have 2 sets of mediums, so Larkin and Felipe will both be changing to the medium. And then it becomes a case of, really when Felipe pits determines, I think, how close they're going to end up. Absolutely. Because that's where Larkin's advantage is right now. Lix is 4 tenths per second behind Felipe as they come towards turn 1, but he's not got the straight line speed to do anything about the AlphaTauri enemy. He's going to be very frustrated. I'm surprised he's not gone, given he's tight on the mediums, I'm surprised he's not gone for some hards by this point to change, but perhaps he's happy just sitting in the DRS of that AlphaTauri. Have we got any other battles going on? I don't think so right now. We've got Luke and RJ still at it. 2 Ferraris aren't too interested in much of a fight, and our leaders aren't really focusing too much either. So let's stay with this Felipe-Lix battle for the time being. And I'll do another, because it's fun, let's do another check-in with the gap from Larkin to Felipe. 32.4, take away 23.6. Now 8.8 is the gap as Chris has spun at turn 5.
Yeah, not very good from Chris, and he's dropped down behind Miami, behind Rex, and also looking like he's going to drop down behind Marcio. Yeah, he does just let him through in the end, so Chris now down into last position basically. Him and Miami are probably going to make a pit stop, maybe either this lap or next lap, for a fresh set of mediums to go to the end of the race. Nolan, I'm sure we'll see him make a pit stop very soon as well, though he is starting to get away from Lix ever so slightly, so I'm quite surprised that Lix still hasn't made a pit stop, despite being on 15 lap odd mediums. The thing is that Nolan's going to have to go for a set of mediums as well, but at the same time he's obviously got that wing change, so Lix, no matter what, unless he spins, is going to come out ahead of Nolan, or unless Lix has some wing change to do as well, he is going to come out ahead of the AlphaTauri out in front of him. But I'm just surprised he's not trying to do it a bit earlier so that he can get a bit further in front of the AlphaTauri, considering that he's going to be on a fresher set of medium tyres as well, and a softer set. So yeah, it makes no sense to me why Lix is staying out. I'll be very surprised if he stays out even in this lap. And same with Nolan. If they both stay out, then I'll be surprised as Chris comes into the pits and retires in the pit lane. And that is our second retiree of the evening. Evans as well, I just realised, retired on the first lap after that whole calamity went down. I'm not sure what he went on with that, but yeah, Evans and Chris are 2 retirees so far for this evening. Koskappen starting to close up to the back of T-Brom ever so slightly as Reservoir into the pits now. So the first of the top 4 to make his pit entry. I'm still running on board with Lix and Nolan to see if one of these 2 are going to come in, because surely at least one of these 2 have to make a pit stop, and Nolan is in and Lix is in, so they both do make their way into the pits to do their stop. Like I said, Lix should have come in at least a lap earlier, I think, because now he's going to run a set of hards, but they'll be the exact same lifespan as what the mediums are. So yeah, I think Lex made a mistake for staying out a bit longer than what he probably should have anticipated. As all that screen going around out of turn number 1, he saw Rezify just coming out of the pits. He was a bit of a far distance behind him anyway, but yeah, I think Screen must have just hit the inside curb off turn 1 a bit too much, and that sent the German spinning around. He's still yet to make a pit stop, but yeah, Rezify now on a fresh set of mediums, and look at where Larkin is in comparison. Only 1.5 seconds behind Rezify. So I know Larkin's still got to make another stop, but that's then got to tell you surely Nolan is going to be in some deep trouble from Larkin when Larkin does make his second stop, which I would have thought would be either this lap or next lap.
Yeah, I think Larkin come in this lap. I saw he was using a lot of ERS last lap because he really closed in on T-Brum. He's taken a good 3 seconds out of T-Brum since he pitted, so he's in good pace. Matty with a speeding penalty, that will put pay to him, but he was on course for P4 anyway. He switched them in tyres. T-Brum staying out, still going a little bit longer, not confident, perhaps completely confident those mediums are going to get to the end of the race in the happiest state. Let's see where Rezify is then in relation to his teammates who's coming out of pit exit now. Koskab's just ahead of them. Luke and RJ are still going round as well on the hard tyres. Rezify is going to come out behind his teammate, but he's going to close up so much now through turns 1, 2 and 3, and now Matty's got that penalty. I wonder if he might let his teammate go if he feels Rezify is a little bit quicker. Let's have a look further back. Where are the battles? We need some battles, that's what we need. Tote passes Scream, though Scream's in the pit lane. Oh, we don't have any battles. No one's in DRS range apart from Marcio on the back of Rex, and that's a 9/10 of a second battle. We'll check in with the 2 Ferraris for a little bit, shall we? But the race has really petered out a little bit as a result of, I think what we're seeing now is the after, or the smoking gun of lap 1. No one was really in a position to fight anybody else at this point. As T-Brum comes into the pit.
Yeah, I'll be surprised if RJ and Luke don't make their way into the pits on this lap as well. Koskappen is going to inherit our race lead for the time. Is still technically our net race leader, but T-Brum already out of his box and coming down the back straight. I think Koskappen might have been overcut by T-Brum here. He's just coming out of the pit, coming out of the pit lane now. There on your screen is Luke. In fact, Luke's going to get up ahead of T-Brum, but yeah, Koskappen so far behind T-Brum as well. So Luke is going to inherit our race lead, still yet to make a pit stop. Larkin, I think, might have actually played a bit more of a blinder, but staying out a bit further. I feel like the overcut here, for some strange reason, looked a bit more powerful in comparison to an undercut. Not sure why that is the case, but yeah, Koskappen, you can see all over the back of T-Brum. Obviously, T-Brum only just came out of the pits. He's going to have much colder tyres in comparison to Koskappen, who's going to get a better run out of this one. Is it Koskappen or is it T-Brum? It looks like it's Koskappen. He's on the outside of T-Brum, going through turn 6 and turn number 7. T-Brum has a little bit of lag. The Canadian manages to hold on to this race lead for the time being, but I don't think Koskappen's going to be too happy about that one. You can just see the little jitters going on with T-Brum, but manages to hold on to that race lead for the time being. Koskappen is still going to try and put up a fight on T-Brum through the remainder of this lap, and this is as close as he's actually been all race long. And I thought he was going to be able to get the job done through turn number 5 there, Jake, but unfortunately for him, he's going to have to stay behind for the time being. That DRS, though, is going to be crucial. He needs to get this move done on the Canadian out in front of him ASAP and just try and maintain that position out in front of him. He's using that ERS to close up to the back of him, and I think we might see a move go down into turn 1 here.
He's as close as he could hope to be at any point in this race. If he's going to make a move, he's got to do it now, because he wasn't exactly close to T-Brum in the opening stint, and he's looking to the inside. He's now going to go to the outside. Is Koskappen, he forces T-Brum tight in. Can he switch back underneath for turn 2 and turn 3? Little lag spike there from the Canadian, and he is through, but he's going to force T-Brum wide. T-Brum's got the inside for turn 4, and they've got a thread through the eye of the needle there, and just out ahead is Koskappen, but T-Brum's got some ERS and some DRS dues. He's going to go down the outside. Is the Mercedes? He'll tuck back underneath the Red Bull and try and out-drag it through turn 6 and towards 7, but Koskappen has got this one won. He is through, and also through the last lap as well. While we were watching that battle, Felipe has passed Lix for P11, so he is on course for some good points, but I say good points, he's on course for 2 points, and with Koskappen in the net lead of this race, Koskappen is about to absolutely catapult himself into prime championship winning contention in this race.
Yeah, he certainly is, and look at this battle as well. Larkin has made that pit stop. He's 2.3 seconds behind Nolan in the end after all of that, so Yeah, Larkin needs to try and close back up to the back of Licks, with obviously Licks picking up DRS from Nolan for the time being. But obviously Licks was on those harder tyres in comparison to both Nolan and Larkin on the set of mediums. I think it's going to be a bit of a blunder, and I think he's going to be put in a blender at this point. So I think Licks is going to be a bit under pressure from Larkin. He's lost that DRS now to Nolan out in front of him. And yeah, I think we're going to see a move go down very soon. Another one, though, as well, is Darry on and Sen, as all Koskapen, I think, trying to get a move done on Luke through turn number 3. Luke going to defensive on the inside for turn 4 as well. Not going to give him any sort of edge room. And now you can also see Luke is playing that team game for his teammate. His teammate obviously down in 11th position. Ben's going to try and go around the outside. A little bit of a squeeze from Luke. Contact between the pair of them as well. Ben had to stay on the outside there, and Luke still doing very nicely on defending. Very aggressive defending from the AlphaTauri, but keeps that position for the time being. Ben's going to try and go for the better exit though out of turn number 9. I don't think he's going to get that move done though, and yeah, Luke's going to be able to hold on to that position as there is a spinner out towards the back. I believe that is Rex, unfortunately, the American, going around out of turn 1 as well, another victim from that. But yeah, with this battling with both Koskapen and Luke, it's now brought T-Bomb straight back into play, as well as Matty and Rezify. They're all now involved in this 5-man scrap for the lead of this race here, Joe.
Portuguese Minister of Defence Luca 5 HD as he gets a spanking up the backside from his Brummy compatriot QBR Koskapen as we come through turn 15. T-Brum car just snaps away from him a little bit, but he'll lose a little touch of momentum there. Here we go, down towards turn 1. I think T-Brum has got lower wings here because he's gaining on both of them. There's Koskapen up the inside. It's T-Brum to the outside with 3 wide into turn 1, and T-Brum tags the back of the Red Bull there, but Koskapen comes out on top, and that is critical for him. But T-Brum's through on Luke as well. Koskapen wanted to make that move on Luke so that he could gap T-Brum, gap the DRS. He's not been able to do that, and now he's got no ERS to use as well. Are the Ferraris in a position to make a move on the AlphaTauri? No, they are not, as Marcio passes Licks at turn 14. There was a spin there, I think, for Licks. Both Alfa Romeos having spins in the space of a lap, but the battle for the lead has absolutely come alive here. It's taken 20 odd laps, but finally, and Luke's a shoddy exit out of turn 8, and Matty's going to have a look now through turns 9, sorry, and then 10 and 11 up the inside. Here is Matty going to make this. He needs to make it if he wants to have a chance to win this race, although he has got that speeding penalty, of course, which is going to make it very difficult, but he's through as well. Luke doing his absolute utmost to just cause any chaos he can for our race leaders here as they come through turns 14 and then into 15, and Redfire will be thinking straight here. He'll be thinking, I should have been ahead of Matty given he's the Ferrari driver without the penalty, and he's going to cut him well adrift now of the battle for race victory here. But I think he will get past Luke. Luke's got DRS as well though. It's not going to be straightforward for Redify. He's got some slipstream. I don't think he's going to get this done. You know, he's going to have to go around the outside of Luke. If he does, you'll force Luke very tight, and you can't just complete the move off the track like that. Rectify, bitterly frustrated here. He's going to stay in 5th place for at least another lap, and you've got to think, if the Ferraris are in a party together, they should have swapped places with the penalty for Matty, because now you see why Rectify has lost any chance to win this race, surely.
Yeah, I would have thought that as well, as Luke is also just is teetering on the back of the DRS from Matty as well. I think Luke is just playing for a safety car at this point. I think he's hoping that there is one that is coming out, because he's still staying out for some strange reason. Maybe he could be going for a set of the soft compounder tyre. It's the only thing I can think of. But other than that, yeah, I'm not sure why he's sort of stayed out for as long as he has, as Nolan gets the move done on Tope down towards turn 5. Tope tries to go for a bit of a switchback on Nolan, but doesn't manage to get that move done. Larkin is now within DRS of Tope as well, and it's now playing into the hands. It's both of these two once again close of each other out on track. So that little bit of drama that we were causing there, Jake, well, it looks like it's going to come into fruition very soon. Larkin needs to get that move done on Tope though ASAP if he wants that chance, but I think Luke is going to get overtaken by Rectify here, and I don't think there's much that Luke can do about it.
I don't think there is. I was just checking in with the battle for the lead, but yes, Rectify passes Luke this lap, but it's left him 2 seconds behind his teammate. 2 or 3 laps too late really for Rectify if he wanted the chance for victory. He's going to get a podium at least if he stays within 5 seconds of his teammate, but it's not enough for victory, as we've got a yellow flag. That is Licks has spun again, and we're just checking in with the Felipe Tope Larkin battle, and I wonder if you're Felipe, are you going to try and play this and back Tope into Larkin so that Larkin can't attack Felipe. Do you think that's a smart strategy here, if that's what Felipe's doing? If he keeps Tope between himself and Larkin, doesn't let Tope get out of his DRS, there's nothing Larkin can do about the Williams. And it keeps Felipe nice and protected from the McLaren.
Yeah, but at the same time, Larkin can just get the move done, especially with the softer compounder tyre and younger tyres as well compared to Tope's. He probably could just try and go for a move sort of anywhere that he possibly can. Maybe even down in towards his double right-hander, we might see a move from Larkin, although I think he's a bit too far back from the Williams in front of him. But yeah, I mean, I don't really see the point of Nolan trying to back Tope up. I think Nolan is looking like he's got pace anyway. So there's no point in trying to back the Williams up just so that Larkin can sort of stay behind. Because look at that, Tope got a very bad run just before the penultimate corner, and Larkin had a much better run. And you can just see now he's having to still stay behind him, but at the same time he's now dropped DRS to Nolan, and now I think Larkin's going to get the move done on him whilst trying to back him up a little bit. It's kind of come back to bite him on the backside, because now Larkin, move done, and he's still within DRS of Nolan. I think if anything, Nolan needed to try and drive away, not back Tope up. Otherwise, I don't know if he was doing it intentionally or not. If he was doing it intentionally, then it was a bit of I think that's probably a bit of a rookie error. But if it was not intentional, then obviously it wasn't intentional. He just needs to try and get away now from Larkin as much as possible if he wants to avoid Larkin trying to get an overtake done on him. But I'm sure we'll see that battle heating up on that next lap, as Larkin is so much quicker through there than Nolan is.
I wonder if Felipe was backing Tope up, I'm sure he'll correct me if I'm wrong. I think he probably just misjudged Tope's lack of pace, probably how Larkin's abundance of pace, really. Because if Tope had been a little bit quicker and Larkin a little bit slow, I think that would have worked nicely. We saw it in D1 that people just couldn't pass inside the trains. But Larkin looks so quick, so committed, doesn't he, through these fast sweeping corners. Battle for our lead, by the way, 1/10 of a second through the apex of turn 1 between T-Bram and Koskappen. But we're going to have a look at Larkin and Felipe. Can Larkin get the exit he needs? You need to be within half a second as you come out 14 and down the hill of 15. I think Larkin is just about in the zone where he can make a move here on this lap. And he's got a good run, but I think Felipe's probably running lower wings, although Larkin's got some good overspeed here towards turn 1, but it's not enough, and he's got to be careful he doesn't make a similar mistake to last week and be too eager. He's got enough time here to pick his opportunities. Luke is dispatched through turn 6 and 7 by CRD Sen.
Yeah, he certainly is. Larkin just makes a little bit of an error as well, as Luke in fact is gone. Luke is round. I wonder if he's picked up a puncture from that. I know it's very easy to spin at turn number 9, as there's also been another spinner, I think that is Rex, now down in 17th position as Miami has gotten past him. But yeah, Luke really is struggling now on these tyres, and surely he's got to make a pit stop now this lap. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't. I think Luke is really sort of struggling going through even through turn number 12. He just went very wide on the exit. So yeah, Luke is definitely going to be in this lap. I'm surprised he stayed up for as long as he did, but he did. And I think he's pretty much ruined his own race. You try and help out his teammate as much as possible, but at the same time, it's not helped him at all. If anything, he's going to be. I think he's getting overtaken very soon.
It has not helped him, and I'm just fascinated here by the battle for victory. I think T-Bram is quicker than Koskappen, and Koskappen had a little wiggle out of turn 5. I mean, T-Bram is closer through that corner than we're seeing most. As we'll go back to Larkin and Felipe, 0.2 of a second through turn 1. Larkin's just not sticking close enough through the long left-hander and then right-hander of turn 13 and 14 that he needs to be to get the run down the pit straight. I don't think it's an issue of straight line speed. I think it's an issue of just not being close enough coming into the DRS zone. Very close there into turn 5. Look at that, and they both have very much dropped Tope. That initial spurt of pace that Larkin had, where he really reeled Felipe in when he passed Tope, seems to have just dissipated a little bit. It's half a second. Half a second's the magic number, really, that you need to be within as you come round the last corner. And it's hovering around that, both for T-Bram and for Larkin as well, which are our big battles on track right now. T-Bram's closing right up into turn 1, and then you'll see it just dips to 0.2 of a second, and then that's as you are for another lap, because there are no other overtaking opportunities. Turn 5, such a short DRS straight, you really need the car in front to have no tyres or a shoddy exit through 4 to get a chance, and Larkin is not close enough this lap, but he is just saving up some ERS, as is Felipe as well there.
Yeah, both saving up that ERS so they can try and attack/defend from one another as well. But yeah, it's definitely died down a bit more now, Jake. Reservoir is still 2 and a bit seconds behind his teammate Matty, 1.2 behind those top two. It really is just those top two in this battle here for P9 between Nolan and Larkin. That is all sort of going on. Steve Ross has had quite a nice little race as well in P7. Same with Darry. Obviously Darry getting demoted from Division 1. Probably not the results I was expecting him to have from getting demoted from Division 1, but at the same time still P6, not a bad result. Sen as well, I think is having a pretty good race as well. If I'm not mistaken, this might be his first or second race in the League of Europe for Division 2. So, oh no, sorry, it's his fourth race. Sorry, my mistake. His first race picked up a podium in Circuit of the Americas. So, Bahrain, he only picked up 2 points, and then DNF in Imola last week. As there is a spin out that is, I believe, that screen out of turn number. Is that turn number 8? He had a spin out of, not turn 9. Interestingly enough, so.
Larkin is very close. Larkin is very close. This is his chance. He's 0.3 of a second behind as they come onto the banking of 15. Very light banking, but now Larkin's depositing all of his ERS. This is his moment. And Felipe, I don't think he can cover either side and cover off the position. He takes the inside. Larkin will sweep around the outside, and he is through into turn 1. And is Felipe going to get a chance to fight back? No, Larkin nicely covers off the apex the first couple of corners, and turn 3 as well. Doesn't miss his breaking point, doesn't get overexcited. He covers off that place. And I think this, had Felipe bitten the bullet when Larkin did and just come in and changed his wing early on in the race, do you think these two, or Felipe would have been in a better position than he is now if he'd followed Larkin's strategy? Or do you think he's played this race right? I mean, they both went very different ways and they've ended up in the same place.
Yeah, I definitely think you would have been in a bit of a better position, maybe around where RJ is, a little bit further up in front, shall I say. I think Nolan would have been, had he come in, but I suppose that's, what can you do? That's all, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't remember what it is I'm looking for, but I suppose that's just all what can happen. You know, anything could sort of happen. You know, it's one of those. It's like, oh, if I would have done this, I could have done. I could have been such and such. You never know what could have really happened with that. I'm looking for. I can't remember what the word is for it, but you kind of catch what I mean. He could have been up ahead. He could have been behind if he had beat at the same time as Larkin. Only, well, we won't know, will we? We're only seeing obviously what's going on now at the moment, and Nolan is now behind Larkin. Still in DRS, which is fair enough, but yeah, he needs to try and save a little bit of that ERS as much as possible to try and go for that move back again on Larkin. But at the moment, it's looking like Koskapen is going to be jumping up a lot of points and closing up heavily to the back of Nolan in this championship fight. T-Brum, as you were saying, he looks a bit quicker, but at the same time, Ben is getting away at different points in comparison to T-Brum. So I feel like Koskapen might still be able to have the win in the end on this, but at the same time you can see just that red flashing light on the back of Koskapen's car compared to T-Brum. They're saying that T-Brum is still quite low on his ERS as well. He's in fact closing up. He's using that ERS to try and close up to the back of Koskapen to try and maybe line up a move within these last 2 laps. We've got 3 more laps left to go though, Jake. It's still anyone's game for this race win between these top 2.
It is. Sorry, I was just checking championship standings. Koskapen will be 7 points behind Felipe after this race if things stay as they are. 29-point lead is what Felipe has coming into this. That is going to be substantially reduced in about 4.5 minutes time. Reservoir picked up a penalty in P4 and he's 2.7 seconds behind Matty, so that will actually hand Matty the podium now if things stay as they are. Matty will get a 5-second penalty, 3 for Reservoir, and that will mean Matty is the Ferrari on the podium, not his teammate. Sen now picked up a penalty in P5. That will promote, it will not promote anyone actually. Darry 7 seconds adrift. As I wonder if T-Brown is just suffering a bit of a... He's feeling like this race has gone perhaps. He's not stayed as close this lap as he did previously. Gap's now 0.7 of a second. He's doing his best, but I don't think he can see an opportunity unless Koskappen makes a mistake, really, in this race. Scream is passed by Luke. Where is that? That's down at turn 11, that was. Yeah, so T-Brom can close up, but he's not got anything enough in his arsenal to overtake. It's Luke has picked up a 5-second penalty for cutting the corner and then is spun down at turn 8.
I wonder if that was contact between them, because Luke was so far off on the gravel at turn 8/turn 9. I wonder if that was any sort of contact with, I don't know, Scream was on the inside of him and Luke was on the outside. That could always happen. I don't want to sort of say that is what happened, because I have absolutely no idea, as there's another spinner, that is Marcio out of the final corner, which means Scream is going to pick up the final set of points for this evening from the looks of things, although probably subject to Stewart's inquiries. You never know what could sort of happen with that. But yeah, T-Brum still cannot find a way past Koskappen at the moment. He's only got really 2 more attempts to try something. T-Brum has a massive bit of oversteer coming down towards the hill, so I think that is pretty much going to solidify Koskappen for taking the win for this evening. Obviously, we've got 1 more lap left to go, so anything can still happen. Koskappen, all it takes is 1 mistake and T-Brum is right back within it, but at the same time, T-Brum now 8.5 tenths behind the Red Bull. I don't think the Mercedes is going to be able to do anything on this final lap. And a little bit of an update with Larkin and Felipe. Larkin is almost 1 second up ahead of Felipe, so I don't think Felipe is going to be able to get the jump on Larkin. I think things are going to stay the way that it is at the moment, Jake, and I feel like Nolan is going to finish 10th. Koskappen looks like he's going to win, and I think this championship is going to boil up a lot more, and I think Ben might be on for something here.
I think he is. It's going to be his 2nd race win of the season after Circuit of the Americas, and you know, you've got to maximise your opportunities, and Koskappen's doing his bit, winning where he can. He's picking up from other people's mess here. Larkin and Felipe have had shambolic races, and Koskappen's there to pick up the spoils of war, and he's going to cut the championship lead from 29 points, more than a race victory, down to just 7. The differential between a win and a 2nd place, barely a hair's breadth in the championship. And with just 7 races to go after this, we'll go to Mexico next time round. You know, we have got a proper championship fight on our hands. Felipe doesn't have the margin anymore, and he's got this man breathing down his neck. It's QVR Koskappen, who's going to take his 2nd win of the season, richly deserved and well defended from Ariel T-Brum. Matty completes the podium with that late penalty for Rezify, who missed out by 0.02 of a second. Sen is going to take P5, Dari P6. There's no battles down the field. Sweeros is going to take as you say, a nice little race that he had. He's going to take P7. RJ, same goes for him. P8, that front wing flexing it away through turn 15. It's going to be 4 points for Larkin in 9th place after damage on the first lap. Felipe takes 10th. IRT Taupe will be 11th after starting on the mediums. What could have been for Larkin and Felipe in this race. Scream is going to complete the points. 9th in the championship. Scream. He's going to make it a 5th race in a row that he's scored points. Every race he has finished in the points. He is solidly picking up results this season. Not spectacular ones, but he's picking up the points as Miami passes Marcio actually on the last lap here, ahead of Rex as well. I said there were no battles. That was a lie. Miami passes Rex, passes Marcio, and Marcio was running very well in this race. In the end, he's going to finish down in 16th place, and Lick's the only man to be lapped today, I believe. And that, as they say, Jack Colville, is that.
I'll be using my full government name there, Jay. Come on. But, yeah, no, I know what you mean. It is, yeah, that is all she wrote, I suppose. I remember what the word was. It was hindsight. Hindsight is a beautiful thing. And what could have been for Nolan, I suppose we'll never know. Yeah, again, P10 and Koskappen taking a win. Very well deserved win. As I said, him and T-Brown, very good battling between the pair of them. Not much else that was sort of going on throughout the field. Larkin making a nice little recovery back to P9 after I think it was his teammate spinning out in front of him, and Miami not having exactly a very good race from himself either. But yeah, what could have been for, I suppose, a few of the other guys, again, hindsight, we'll never know, will we? So it is, though, this man on the top, Mr. QVR Postkampen, with T. Brum in second, and Matty, as I said, he's one of the little dark horses that just keeps himself to himself, finishing in third in the end. Reza 5 falls, Sen from 18th on the grid ends up picking up a P5. Definitely one of the candidate for a driver of the day, if I do say so myself. Darry's in 6th, Sri Ross in 7th, RJ is in 8th, Lark in 9th. Nolan is in 10th for quite a disappointing result for himself. Tope in 11th, Scream picking up the final points position in 12th. Luke in 13th with the fastest lap. Rex in 14th, Miami in 15th, Marcio in 16th, Licks getting lapped in 17th, and then Chris and Evans are two DNFers for this evening here, Jake. And yeah, I mean, it definitely started to heat up more so towards in the middle, but then it kind of just sort of died off again. I suppose that's just, like you said, I think that just kind of resulted because of that whole, because of what happened out in lap number 1. It kind of just caused that Constantina effect. After that, there was just nothing sort of else going on in the middle of the race until obviously everybody made their stops.
It wasn't the classic we were hoping for, was it? At Portugal, but it was. It had its moments. We had some good wheel-to-wheel battles. No one. Well, all right, so no one retired from that race. Not on track, anyway. But that, I suppose you get that with the massive runoff areas. But no, it was good fun. I think the first lap, you say, kind of just set the tone for the rest of the race. Really, the wing damage really spreading out the field. What could have been? You wonder what would have happened if we had Larkin and Miami and Felipe, who were clearly quick drivers on pure pace, in that battle for the win as well. But we will end there. So thank you for tuning in. As I said, Mexico is where we go to next time, and then thereafter Singapore, Austria, Zandvoort in the Netherlands, Saudi Arabia, where of course Sergio Perez took pole in Formula One today, Belgium, penultimate race of the season, and then we end at Brazil. Tune in same time next week. D1 and D3 at 6:30. D1 with James Head 14, Old School 3000. D3 with Just Game 95 and Evil Dragon 99. D2, same time, same place with us, myself, and Mr. Ariel J. Cole. And D4 with QVR Messrs. Verstappen and Packer. Until then, thank you for watching. Have a lovely rest of your weekend and the rest of your evening as well. Good night.